The seven heavens and the earth and all that is in between glorify Allah. There is not a thing that does not glorify Him, but you understand not their glorification. Truly He is ever forbearing, oft forgiving. You see, I often think about this ayah a lot, especially when I am sitting alone in nature. I find myself listening to the birds, particularly the birds, but even the winds and the way that the trees are rustling. And I began to think, what languages of glorification am I not understanding? What is the dhikr of the robin? What is the dhikr of the blackbird, or even something more common like the pigeon? Like what name of Allah are they using to praise Allah? Because everything in creation is in submission to Allah. Even the winds, the oak tree, the beautiful yew trees, the waters, they are all in a space of dhikr. And even if I'm not able to fully understand or perceive the sound with my hearing, I know that they are still in dhikr. You see, sound is a vibration. And everything in creation is on a frequency of vibrating. And whether we are able to hear it and perceive it with our ears or not, it's still vibrating. It's still making a sound. So even the stones, the mountains, and even that seed that lies underneath the earth, the growing, is vibrating and is in dhikr of Allah. It reminds me again of how there are stories of how the companions would sit with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they would say that they would be able to hear the food send praise to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He would hold stones in his hand and they would hear the stones speak to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He would pass trees and those trees would say salams and give praise to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because everything in creation is in a submission to Allah. And so although I'm sitting here in nature and I listen and I'm hearing these beautiful sounds, it's so much more than just this idealistic nature soundscape. I'm pretty much sitting in a gathering of dhikr. And the more I listen and the more I hear, the more I become so overwhelmed that I have this privilege, I have this honor to be able to sit in this space. And although I might not be able to understand the glorification, I know that they are in praise. And that inspires me to be in a state of praise when I am in these spaces. Everything in creation is in constant praise of Allah. And so it makes me reflect about how, for me personally, who is somebody who spends a lot of time in nature, who works with nature, who works with plants and trees, and how I incorporate them in my life, in medicine and in food, I think about all the benefits that I've found in medicine, in herbal medicine. And although I use the language of active constituents or vitamins or minerals or energetics of the plants, ultimately I know that really how we're benefiting from it is actually the dhikr of the plants. It's the dhikr of the plants that we are using as medicine. And it's the same when science explains now about the multiple benefits of being outside, of even spending 10 to 15 minutes outside, so much has been proven of the benefits of mental well-being, physical well-being, reducing our perception of pain, helping with anxiety. So much now, particularly since we've been in a space of being away from nature, so much now that we realize the benefit of being in nature. I know that ultimately when we're looking at these benefits, they're the exact same benefits that you would get by being in a gathering of dhikr. Because nature is a gathering of dhikr. And so I'm humbled. I'm really, really humbled. And I thank Allah for allowing us to be in these spaces. But it also makes me think about my role as Khalifa, my role as a steward. And yes, I step into that role because the earth is a trust, is an amana that Allah has given to us, and we will be asked, did you look after, did you care for this earth? And so I do my best. But I also know that my responsibility comes from protecting this gathering and hosting this gathering and cultivating these spaces of dhikr. And that's within my home, but also in nature. Which means it's my responsibility to be in a space of awareness when every time acres of forest are chopped down, how much dhikr is disappearing. Every time we have a species that goes extinct, what dhikr is being silenced. Every time we hear about the pollution of our oceans, what impact is that having on the dhikr of nature? And how we are benefiting from that dhikr of nature. So I thank Allah and I sit in this space of humility and I ask Allah for us to be people of dhikr, for us to cultivate these spaces of dhikr in our homes, in our hearts, in nature, and make us people of dhikr. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad.